Bit by bit, we've watched the Gangplank Galleon sail from the horizon to the waters of Donkey Kong Island. Now, after 39 levels and 9 other episodes I wedged in there because I felt like it, we're finally here, with the creaking planks of the deck beneath our feet. This is part 49 of Overthinking Donkey Kong Country. Before we get into the fight, I want to backtrack a tad and take a look at the overworld itself. The most interesting thing on the overworld map is the ship. As I alluded to a few seconds ago, every time you beat an area, the ship gets a little closer. It's a minor detail, but it's really cool. Very ominous and such a cool way to hype up the player for the final fight. The island itself has got to be way bigger than it looks. I said in an earlier episode that it's likely somewhere near the equator, possibly near Malaysia, but at least somewhere with a tropical climate. I still feel that checks out, and the fact that there are alpine trees and snow on the peaks tells me that Vine Valley and Gorilla Glacier are quite far above sea level. There's also probably way more jungle than is alluded to in Congo Jungle. You can see here that the lowest area of the island is almost all jungle, and it appears to wrap around the back of the island, coming out under Vine Valley, which is in all likelihood where Orangutan Gang takes place. I have a theory that we see more of it in a future game, but that's a topic for another video in another series. Also, if you squint, the mountain kinda looks like DK's head, but I think that's more of a coincidence than anything. Now, just before we move on to the fight, I want to draw your attention to this picture. This render wasn't officially released, as far as I can tell, but it was created during development by Adrian Smith, who worked on the game as a graphic artist. The reason I want to look at it is I find the differences between it and the final version of the island fascinating, and they may give us a glimpse into an earlier version of the story. The three biggest differences that stick out to me are DK's house being missing, the Kremling ruins being visible from the sea, and Kremkrok Industries being located behind Vine Valley. I don't think there's a whole lot to take from DK's house not being there, but those other two are interesting. Kremkrok being in a different spot says to me that it was going to be much earlier in the game. Maybe it was going to be combined with Vine Valley and we would have got a sort of Mekanos or Kremwood Forest type deal. Or maybe at some point in development, it was planned that we would have gotten a look at the back of DK Island in the latter half of the game. The visible ruins say to me that the dominant theme of Monkey Mines was once the temple. Interestingly enough, these points match up with the level themes for the first 3 areas of DK64. Jungle, Temple, Factory. Seeing as how so many ideas from the first DKC were brought back and repurposed for Donkey Kong 64, it's not impossible that they also salvaged ideas from the cutting room floor. Alright, enough with the island. Let's get to the fight. I know it's a boss battle, and so there shouldn't be any normal enemies here, but there's something so off-putting about how deserted the deck is. You start off alone in this wide space, with a few seconds to yourself before King K. Rool appears. Again, it's a boss battle, so there was never going to be a random critter or clump showing up. But even as a kid, it had this final, desperate feeling to it. Like there was literally no one left between the Kongs and K. Rool. They had all but won, and here he was, making one last-ditch effort to take them down. As far as boss battles go, it's by far the hardest, but I wouldn't exactly call it hard. Dodge the crown, jump on his bare head, don't let him hit you, and duck and weave around the falling cannonballs. The best part of the fight is the fake credits. Spoiler for anyone who hasn't made it that far yet. As a joke, it doesn't quite land, but it's a fun concept and definitely adds to the tension of the fight a bit. When the fight resumes, you have no idea how much longer you've got to go, how many more phases there might be. It can be a bit demoralizing. But yeah, stick it out and before you know it, it's over. You've followed the trail of bananas out of the jungle, through the mines, the forest, over the mountain, into the Kremling space and down into the depths of the island. You've beaten their leader and taken back what they stole from you. In the eyes of your grandfather, who is sometimes your dad, you are now an official video game hero. And if my theory is correct, the Kong clan's gonna survive another rainy season. I mean, unless something happens between now and then. So ends part 49, the last true episode and the second last episode of the entire series. I've got nothing else to add, just feeling very grateful. Next episode's coming real soon. Thanks for watching.